Hey, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Amuse Jester. My name is Junior. Today we're going to take a look at the 3.75 Star Wars The Vintage Collection, the recently released Imperial Snowtrooper, uh, and this is from The Empire Strikes Back. Now this is my very first figure that I bought as a pre-order from the 3.75 vintage line. That is an army builder. Now, just to show you really quickly, what I mean by that is I bought one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9, and 10. Yes, I bought 10 of these because I could never find the original Imperial Snowtrooper that is of decent sculpt quality. The only one I could find in the entire collection that I have right now, that's now running at around 800 figures or so, are from the Power of the Force line. So they're like really chunky, 5.0 articulation. And out of the 800 figures or so that I have, I've only seen two of them, and I've only gotten two of them. Now, my way of purchasing things, as I'm telling the story, I'm just gonna turn around. My way of purchasing things from the Star Wars 3.75 vintage line, because I came in very late into the game. I only started October of last year, was to buy stuff from lots, buy stuff cheap, and everything, to the point that I was averaging, I believe, around $5.7 per figure. Yes, I averaged about $5 uh, per figure of the $830 figures that I own, and that's because some of them were, uh, I believe, $14. Some of them were $12. Some of them were $8, and some of them were like $2. So I was very fortunate. So it just averaged out to $5.7 per figure. So when I was looking for this trooper, I could not find anything in a large sized number of lots that um, that were priced correctly for me. I probably could have found them if I was willing to pay like $11 or so, but I wasn't, because that would ruin my average, and I did not do it like that. I did it like this. It's been so long since I've opened one of these card backs, that I forgot my technique. I didn't want to cut into that like that. Yeah, I've even gotten, when I was looking at my lots and buying them, I've even gotten lots that were completely brand new, sealed in packaging like this. And I've gotten a lot of them too. Maybe like there's a box that comes in like this size, and I have two of them that's completely packed with card backs. Anyway, I have that many. Or I bought that many. And yes, there's been deals when I've seen lots, or I've been able to purchase lots that was in card backs, and they averaged at around $8. I think I remember the first one was, I purchased a lot of 26 for $160, and that included the Tantive 4 corridor set. So here's the usual blaster that comes with 3.75. Nothing special about it. It is nicely miniaturized, I'll say that. Finally, the Snow Trooper. Finally, I've got an army. I have 10 of them. So it looks like, man, they're copying the Black Series design exactly the way. But yeah, it's even this one. I'm talking about the pauldrons over here. So the Black Series, I don't know. Oh yes, I do have one here. So this is the Black Series Mandalorian Elite Imperial Praetorian. Look at this um, shoulder plate over here. So it's basically on um, a small piece of plastic that's on a cup inside the joint of the shoulder. So what happens is that you can literally rotate this separate out of the shoulder like this, right? This is kind of scary to do on the smaller scale, but I believe that's exactly what they did in this one too. Yeah, look at how, yeah, look at that. It moves independently of the shoulder. Why is that cool? Because that makes it so that when you rotate the shoulder, and be careful when you're doing that, because that small flap of plastic is much more thinner than it is in the Black Series. So I'm just scared that's just gonna snap off. But if you're careful doing that, look at how well that looks. Now in the older styled vintage 3.75, that would have been sculpted into the shoulder. But look, oh wow. Now of course we're not gonna get a lot of up and down movement on this head, but look at how it's actually able to wiggle a little bit. Huh. Yes, I'm surprised it's even able to do that. I would just like have thought, no, that's not gonna happen. So let's look at the elbow articulation. Oops, gotta be careful and watch for those joints where it's facing. Because this is so small, you don't want to snap it. Slightly above 90 degrees on the bend. And the wrist rotates, and it looks like it's an up and down articulation, but this thing is so small. It's there, I acknowledge it, but you know. And then there's a waist rotation, or a mid-rib rotation right here. It's in a ball joint, so you are getting some sort of wiggle waggle room. Oh, and the backpack comes off, so we'll take a look at that later on. This is on a separate, this belt is on a separate plastic, apart from the actual cod piece and all the thing. And of course, this is using the most articulated version of the 3.75, which means it's got a barbell pins on the hip, so you're able to easily move the legs like so. Very nice. And then you have a leg thigh cut. I hope they do not start removing this, because what I'm finding, and I think somebody's mentioned it before, they're literally shrinking down the 3.75 sculpt design into the 3.75. Did I say that correctly? They're literally shrinking the 112 scale Black Series into the 1/18th vintage collection line, so everything's exactly as this one is. And I hope they don't follow what they're doing with the Black Series completely, because the new Black Series do not have a thigh cut, and I don't like that. I love the fact that they're experimenting on the pauldrons and everything, but can you imagine these guys not having a thigh cut? Look, you can't. That is excellent. I don't know why you would want to do that, because maybe some people stand like that, but you can't do that with the Black Series anymore. You can twist it using, oh my gosh, this particular design of the leg doesn't even have the ability to twist at the knee, because this is double jointed, so you can't. While this one can do that, you can't do that with the Black Series anymore. Look. Oh, sorry, That's a gripe of the Black Series that I have. I really hope they don't translate that into the 3.75, because we finally get a 3.75 vintage collection line figure that is so fully articulated it could match the Black Series easily. And as for the knee, 90 degrees, that's fine. The ankle can point down that much. It can point up that much. And it has a ankle rocker. And I want you to note how weathered the boots are, which is cool. I love this. Oh, and then let's take a look at the backpack over here. Here's the back without the backpack. Look at all the details going on. When I look at this thing, I always think that it's supposed to go in like this. And thankfully they keyed it, because it's supposed to go like this. I love this. I love this. Now, I pre-ordered this the very first moment they announced it, and that was probably around January, February. I can't remember anymore. So I was still in the throes of my 3.75 collection. I pre-ordered it at $17.99, I believe, per figure, and I had no hesitation when I did it, because, like I said, I have not gotten or found any Imperial Snowtroopers from the original trilogy, and it was very, very difficult. I suppose everybody is hunting for them or anything, but the thing of it is, when it arrived, and this arrived maybe about a week or so ago, and I realized, man, I just spent, and this is from Big Bad Toy Store, so I saw the total again, and this like $180 for 10 figures. And I gotta tell you, $180 for 10 figures, after coming from the experience of buying lots, like I said, $160 for 26 figures with a play set, that is a big hit for me financially. Yes, if you see my channel, I bought $1,000 items. 170 doesn't seem so bad, but it is when you're still thinking of, man, how many more Star Wars figures that I want in terms of troop building, because I can't really sustain paying $180. Can you believe somebody out there bought 100 of these? That's almost 1,800. That's so amazing, but I can't do that. So I don't. Well, there is a tinge of regret having to pay $180 full price for this one after my well, let me put it this way. Here's a recent eBay lot that I got, and these are the TIE Fighters from, I think this is Power of the Force 2 line. Now these figures, this is the other Imperial Trooper that I could never find a lot of. I think I have a total of 4 or 5 in my collection. I just could never find the one that matches this one in terms of articulation. I can only find this. Now this lot is 24 pieces of this trooper, and they're just going to be standing in a lot of troopers in the background. So all I'm basically going to see is black and this part. So I'm kind of okay mixing it up with my collection, because honestly, this is not going to be a fully posable figure in my collection anyway. And this ended up, for a lot of 24, I paid $50. This ended up being $2 per figure. $2 per figure compared to an $18 figure. And Yes, this can move. I'm so impressed with articulation in this one, but at the same time, I'm willing to pay $2. Uh, I'm willing to get the older ones for $2. You know what I mean? If it's just a big difference in price. Now, like I said, I have over 800 figures, and I averaged at around $5.75 a figure. How did I do that? And that's because what I usually do is I average things out. I have 10 of these for $17, and I have 24 of these for $2. That's a total of around, plus tax with this one, around $220. So if you divide $220 by 34 figures, you're left with about $6.4 per figure on a 34 figure lot. That's how I kind of think about it, and it eases the pain of how much I paid for this. But the more I pay for these higher priced figures, the the higher that average goes up, because if you remember, for 830 figures, I average at 5.7. This one is going now at 6.4, so it's a lot higher. But it will all average out again when I include the 34 figures into the 830 figures, which is 864. So this, oh my God, I'm just babbling, right? But that's how I sort of mentally prepare myself for the hit of the $180 of 10 figures. But also, this finishes my Imperial Snowtrooper collection. Having 10 of them, that's more than enough to add them in my collection. So base price 10 equaling to $17.99. What is the value that I'm assigning on this figure? I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm severely impressed by the fact that they can just miniaturize the Black Series now into the 3.75. I love like the innovation that the Black Series had with the shoulder plates. Even in the Black Series, I was loving that new addition to the articulation, and for them to bring it to the 3.75, I love that. There's just, you can just do so much for these figures in a diorama playset if you have them fighting, running. uh this is just, you can just do everything. You can literally copy this pose very, very closely. See, so you can literally copy that pose. That's doable with this type of articulation, and I love that. I really do. This is the reason why I got into 3.75, because I realized that Hasbro, the new current 3.75 line of Star Wars, is able to do full articulation, paint application, print printing paint application on the faces for $18. Um, and I'm just completely blown away by that. So the value, I will tell you that probably if I was to buy this individually, I would value it at around 11 because of the impressive miniaturization that they did with the Black Series. But I'm not valuing it at that. I'm valuing it as a whole in my collection. Um, Maybe I shouldn't. No, I shouldn't. I can't. If I had bought this as a lot, then I would have easily, then I could justify the 6.4 per figure, but I'm not. I'm gonna leave the value at 11. I'm so impressed with the articulation of these small figures. I have to admit, this is just an awesome, awesome figure. Um, for something so small, and of course because it's so small, you can have a lot of them at a in a set space. So I'm very satisfied with my purchase. I'm getting more because of the awesome articulation that you're getting in this one. That's why I bumped it up to a value of 11. That's it for my review of the Imperial Snowtrooper that's been recently released from the 3.75 Vintage Collection Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. Awesome, awesome figure that you need to have in your collection of 3.75. You just need to, because it's a very, very classic trooper in the original 4, 5, and 6 trilogy. I hope to see you guys again in my next review. Thank you for watching. Bye.